Hey everybody, what's up? Good evening and happy Wednesday to you and yours. My name is Bay Ragney from the Nashville Restaurant Review, and it's been a minute, 2 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes since we've done one of these shows. It's been a long time, and I didn't know when this show was going to come back, to tell you the truth. But after talking with tonight's guest the last couple of weeks, I got super inspired to bring the show back. And when we start talking and getting into his story, you're going to understand why. I want to welcome everybody to the show. Charles Spence, who is the owner of the Copper Branch down on 601 Church Street in downtown Nashville. Charles, welcome to the show. And we have a special guest. My cat's going to pop in here any second as well.
Thanks, Bay. Thanks for having me.
You know what? Thank
Good
you.
deal.
Like, honestly, like, we've been talking back and forth for the last couple of weeks. I've kind of like somewhat partnered up with this new lunch program here, and I've been trying to get some Nashville restaurants to sign up. And Charles reached out, and we're getting him hooked up with this new lunch program. And we just started talking, and instant friendship and respect, I think, has
Yeah,
happened.
absolutely.
Uh, um, and when he started telling me little tidbits, I uh, I got more interested, especially when you turn around and said to me that you were a um, technology executive and you also run a veterans nonprofit. And I know you have a military background, and I thought to myself, he's got like this amazing career already. He's running a amazing charity for veterans, and then he goes into the restaurant business. So I want to know, Charles, how and why you
Yeah,
because this is a new business too. I think you guys just opened last year.
correct. So February 2021. So,
Okay.
and the question you just asked is one I get asked by my family and friends all the time. So,
Now I want to know,
yeah.
whose idea was this? Was it you or your wife? Like, who
Uh,
decided like to go into this world?
I guess it started, even back when I was in the military, I used to explore options of, hey, it'd be nice to buy a franchise or do stuff, whether it's Cold Stone Creameries and everything else, and try and diversify income, right? So I was always forward thinking. I used to joke that, I think it's in my genes. My mom's like done several startups and businesses, and then I was kid. Maybe it's the half Korean in me, and stuff like that. But I we started looking one day and. Happened to come across in Veg News an article about Copper Branch, which is a plant-based franchise based out of Montreal, and they're big in Canada. They were expanding in the UK or in Europe and UK, and they were looking to make a push into the US. And at that point, they only had like two locations: one in Florida, one in Portland, Maine, and they were trying to expand. And this is all before COVID.
Okay.
And so my wife and I started having some discussions, and we said, hey, if we're going to do something, instead of just doing a franchise to make money, which there's several other franchises that you can get into, probably
Hmm.
a little bit more higher, well known and stuff. But we wanted to do something that aligned with our values and our lifestyle, which we went plant based back in 2012. For reasons where, both my wife and my kids have asthma. And
Okay.
back then, we used to have to go to urgent care twice a year,
Wow.
like almost nonstop. Around the fall and winter, you'd have to go. And my wife's, who's a nurse by training,
Hmm.
read an article that if you go plant based, a lot of kids have shown that they've been able to sort of reduce their asthma flare ups, and then in some cases sort of become have no zero issues. So instead of just having the kids do plant based and then me still come home with burgers, etc., we said let's do this as a family, and we started that. And lo and behold, we have not been to the urgent care ER for them for respiratory issues since 2012. Um, but
That's
then,
amazing.
oh, it was very powerful, and nothing more daunting as a parent seeing your kids can't breathe, and you're racing to try to get a nebulizer and some breathing treatments going at urgent care, hoping they understand and get back there timely, and you're not having to wait. So to not have to do that was a godsend. Um, but then as we fast forward and we started looking at trying to do a venture, it's like, hey, if we did something as a family, that would be fun, right?
Sure.
I have a 17-year-old and a 12-year-old, both love to cook. At home, they make a mess of the kitchen as they're trying new recipes and everything else. But my oldest expressed interest in wanting to understand and potentially be a restaurateur as well. So I said, hey, what better way to do that? I have a background in technology since the military and have done a few startups as well. And I said, hey, let's go ahead and try this. It can't be that hard, right? Little did I know as the novice, right? And wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, and thinking about, hey, this is a great concept. Food's good. It can't be that hard. And we flew up to Montreal, met the executive team there, loved the food, came back and made the decision. Hey, let's go ahead and expand it in Nashville.
Wow.
As we were starting the process, though, is anything but easy. You can ask for worse events to happen in from a timing of trying to start a business, because right before, as we were about to do the permitting and everything else, a tornado hit through Nashville.
Oh, okay.
All that damage, and then all the labor and the construction that got tied up with that. Then a few months after that, right, you then had all the issues with COVID coming up. And by trade, I'm in the healthcare sector, so I felt it on both sides. And then that delayed and paused things. And then you get to a point where you got to decide if you want to keep going forward. And it's either at that point you're a point of no return, so you keep moving forward and then, try and persevere. I would tell you one of the things that has made it worthwhile for me, of all the things I've done, whether military or technology and startups, restaurant, the running of a restaurant is probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And I have such an appreciation for, pioneers who have done this, and mom and pop shops, or even franchisees that are locally
Mhm.
owned, because of all the challenges, but also the perseverance and mindset you have to do well and succeed. And the other side is the amount of people you meet. I'm a people person by nature. I love interacting with people. I love hearing people's stories. And, when I'm there in the weekends and in the evenings, because I work during the day, and in the evenings I'll swing by the restaurant, or go there on the weekends during the day. I just love interacting with people and hearing different stories. And then nothing makes you feel as good as when you hear somebody who comes in who never would have probably tried your food because it's, plant-based or vegan or vegetarian, and they
Right.
just have a perception. But when you get them in there to take that first bite and their eyes light up and they just say, hey, this tastes good. And they're not talking about what type of food it is, just other than it's good. For me, that makes it all worth it. And, sort of confirms the decision to do that. And that's been probably one of the most prideful moments I've had since we've done this venture. So,
Yeah. I mean that alone's got to be like such a huge feeling for you.
oh yeah, and it's funny too because you know I'm a prior army guy, right? So for me, when I look for a venture to have, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the stuff we do at the restaurant, but I love to have cold beer, good food, and music, right? Which we have at the restaurant. But all my buddies are, by and large, are not vegan. I am an anomaly, right? All my buddies, meat and potato guys, and everything else, but we still get along, and they come to the restaurant. They love the food. But when I see other people who have that mindset as well, try it for the first time, and first, that moment of doubt, is this really not meat? Is this really plant-based? Because they don't want to believe you. And
Right.
two, I don't think they want to admit it tastes pretty good. So for me, that's the fun and great. That's the money shot right there.
Well,
So
honestly, like when I was reading a little bit of your backstory, and even you said that you and your family have gone plant based since 2012, like it didn't even come into my radar until I guess like 3, 4 years ago.
yeah.
So I mean, 2012, it was probably an even harder thing to come across, I would imagine.
Yeah, I tell you, I don't think we would have been able to do plant-based if we didn't move to the Nashville area. So
Wow.
my wife
Okay.
and I, we live down in Spring Hill Thompson Station. Not many options down there. So every weekend we would drive into downtown Nashville, in particular on the east side of Nashville, where
Okay.
you have some great establishments, and a lot of the owners, I know, and we would go to their places quite a bit. But you got some great establishments like Khan's Bakery, which is no longer there, but they used to have a lot of vegan bakery and breakfast sandwiches. And that used to be a religious retreat for us every weekend, going there and get their biscuits, and then the kids would like the desserts and so forth. Then Wild Cow, which is not far from that, we would go to as well. and meeting the people who work there and own those establishments. What was really what also, as we sort of ran into the opportunity with Copper Branch, sort of helped sort of mold our decision to do that, because there was a lot of great people. I saw them all had passion and pride in what they did. But then you're right, though. About 4 years ago, there's a turning point when you go into a Kroger or a Walmart and you see plant-based options.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the litmus test. If you get it there, you're good.
It's crossed over to the mainstream now.
Yeah, exactly. So
So all right. So early on, when the talks between, I guess, you and your wife are really starting to heat up now with this becoming a reality. Who was the first one to say it? Was it you or your wife? And did the other person look at each other and say, "Are you crazy?"
yeah, so it's probably me. Because I'm always the one looking at forward and trying to do things. My wife is my north-seeking arrow. She keeps me grounded. So her first reaction was, "What?"
Right?
And then she naturally, she's a nurse, so she just started asking a lot of questions and trying to get her comfortable, which is good because then it gives me time to think: is this just me being a knee-jerk reaction,
Mhm.
but versus something mindful? And when you do this, you got to be mindful about, just as with any business, it's going to take a lot of time, money, effort, sacrifice away from family and other activities. So you got to be
Right.
sure if you can jump in with both feet. But yeah, she was the one asking me questions and saying, "Are you sure we want to do this?" And
Sure.
went forward. But I think when we went to Montreal and flew up there and spent a good week up there and everything else, I think for both of us, that's what sort of settled it, because we realized that the food was real good and had a good value proposition, and we felt at the time, and especially 2019, Nashville, with the growth and explosion that was underway, was a
Sure.
target-rich, a community that we could help not only bring a venture here and hopefully make money doing a good thing, but bring something special to downtown Nashville and
Mhm.
the businesses by offering a healthier dining option for employees there for breakfast, lunch, in the condos downtown, which they didn't have. And even still now, downtown Nashville is almost a food drought when it comes to plant-based, vegetarian, vegan options. Everything is traditional cuisine, which
Sure.
it's all good, but obviously I'm a little biased in where I would like people to go. But it's helpful to see where, as I shared with our story, there was a health driver that helped us go to that path. There
Mhm.
is definitely value to people having a more meaningful life, and that's one of the reasons I love uh, the um, the taglines and motto for Copper Branch, which is "Think, Eat, Change." Right.
Yeah.
So
So now with Copper Branch too, because like you said, I mean they're based out of Canada,
mhm,
um, and there's one other location
correct.
beside your store in the whole country. So how did you discover Copper Branch? Had you heard about it? Did you know about it, or did you start?
Yeah, yeah. We just heard about it through Veg News, reading a
Okay.
magazine. Those advertisements in there, and we looked at it. Like, for example, when we were ultimately settled on Copper Branch, there's a few that were emerging out of California.
Okay.
There's other vegan trendy places, but smaller in scale in terms of deployments in footprint. Um, but I think as we were doing the evaluation between the two, the one that really settled it for us was, when you walk into a Copper Branch store, you're going to smell the different flavors, the spices and everything else, and what's cooking, and it's very nice and just mouth watering, right?
Wow.
But
Okay.
what you don't smell is grease or fryers and any of that stuff, right? Which for us was the sort of the big thing, because Copper Branch, we don't have fryers in our restaurants,
Hmm.
so, and we don't have, or we do use a little bit of like olive oil for some of our fries, but
Sure.
a little bit that's in the sauces. But there, we don't have a grill, so everything is vegetables and produce are cut every day. We steam them in giant combo therm ovens or bake them in there, and then we have different ovens where we cook and do the final prep of the food. So all that stuff smells and sort of circulates in the restaurant. So staff members, when they leave, and after being a long day, you're not smelling like, you're over a grease pit for a while. So, which has been one of the things that has helped us sort of keep a lot of employees for as long as we had, given some of the labor issues here in town. So,
Now, that's something I want to get into. But now, how about that? Like once you start going through the process, um, because like we said, I mean, you're an executive already with your day job and technology executive. Plus, you have the veterans nonprofit that you run. Your wife's a nurse.
yeah.
You have two children. Bringing this on, like, did you say like, did you say to yourself like, how am I going to run a restaurant on top of everything I'm already involved in?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, regardless of what industry, it's people around you that you hire, and you learn along the way.
Mhm.
I think, key for this, fortunately, my wife, who is a nurse by training, she's been a stay-at-home mom the last few years. So
Okay.
helping our youngest, and that has helped, when you don't have to worry about those pressures, and your wife can help partner with you and take care of the home front. That has been helpful. And she's active in the restaurant as well. Um,
Okay.
I think, it's still, you only got 24 hours in a day. Your work takes 8 to 10.
Can we change that? Can we make it 28, 29, even 30 would be amazing.
I would be all for that. I think my wife would probably, make me sleep on the couch if that was the case. But,
You would find it. You'd find another restaurant to open.
no, I think this is enough for now. But I think it always comes down to just prioritization, and it's even for like my nonprofit, the Veterans Corporate Council. Fortunate to have fellow board members on there who are just as passionate. And when you're passionate about things, it's not work. You don't. It's not. Oh crap! I got to spend an hour
Right.
here, 30 minutes there. It's what wakes you up in the morning.
Mhm.
So between that, in the restaurant, very similar, right? We have a general manager and some smart, sharp shift leads who take care of our shift and our staff members and our customers. And while I come in there quite a bit, they are the stalwarts, keeping the restaurant running day to day, with me providing the oversight. And then, with my day job,
Mhm.
I go in, and I'm fortunate where, go in, work the day, you got to monitor, work doesn't stop even after 5, right? But,
No.
you got some good people that gives you capacity in other places.
Mhm.
But I think that's, and even like I work for Cigna, and I love what I do. I actually just came back to Cigna. I left them for 5 years to do several startups. And then I just recently returned to Cigna
Hmm.
because I took a break from healthcare for a while, and an
Okay.
opportunity opened up to go back to Cigna and take on some fun, dynamic stuff. And for me, healthcare is fun, uh, and it's exciting. So when you have stuff, whether it's a hobby, work, or a side passion, and if you're really passionate about it and you enjoy the people you're around and working with, it becomes just, like breathing, right? It's
Mhm.
not a laborious chore. It's an activity that you enjoy doing, and putting some of your precious time towards.
So going back to the restaurant,
Yeah,
you guys opened like you talked about. You started going through the process during the pandemic,
yeah,
which is frightening. And you guys opened beginning of last year, towards the first half of last year. Um, this is where we're going to go into the labor issues
oh yeah.
because, as we know through all of Nashville and I'm sure across the country, there's always staffing issues.
Yeah.
How has that been for you guys? Has it been a nightmare? Has it been a
Yeah,
good?
it's been hard, especially because you talk about timing again. When we opened in February 2021, we were open literally for a week. Then the snowstorm came in and shut down
Wow.
downtown Nashville for about 2 days. Um, but staffing in general has been hard, and part of it is, especially if you're a new venture or concept, you don't have the circulation visibility for a lot of people to come and look for
Hmm.
restaurants, or want to give you a chance and try. So you got to try it.
Sure.
Um, I will say, all in all, compared to other establishments and people I've talked to who
Hmm.
own, whether it's a restaurant or any retail outlets, et cetera, um, we've been fortunate. We haven't been as impacted as some of these areas where ever since we've opened, we've pretty much been able to stay open 7 days a week,
Wow.
Monday through Sunday. We open. Even expanded our hours halfway through. We open up at 8 and close at 9. Um,
Wow. Okay.
um, and what has it been easy? Have I had to also during the weekend sometimes and bring my wife and my 17-year-old into the restaurant? Absolutely, but that's part of the game.
Sure.
But I can honestly say we've been fortunate with the staff members we've had who've leaned in, and that's where you sort of get a sense of pride too, because that they could be there and come and go and just leave, but
Hmm.
a lot of them will stay and work, a double sometime, just to or come in when somebody else called out. Um, but it's one of those games, especially in the very beginning, you didn't know what you're going to get, right? Because
Sure.
people could be sick and then they're out. You can't do anything about it, and it could be 5 to 10 days. But all in all, we've been very fortunate and blessed to not have as many issues as some of our friends and colleagues in the industry as a whole. So,
That's awesome. Now, how about location? Like when you were getting into this, was downtown like always your prime location that you wanted to be at, or any other areas of Nashville? Or
yeah. So, what I always wanted to try and use was Nashville as sort of the flagship for the venture and the portfolio. So,
okay,
the plan and goal is to open up about 2 to 3 more locations around the area.
okay,
Um, in areas like Franklin, and selfishly because I live in Spring Hill, I mean, it wouldn't be as far of a drive to get to. But we actually started looking at Union Street,
okay.
and we were actually in close discussions to sort of seal a deal there. But I'm always a firm believer things happen for a reason.
Me
Um,
too.
and as I was leaving one night after meeting with a realtor, Elam, who's got her own company now, she's great for anybody looking. We were driving around, and then I happened to drive by the Nashville Public Library, and on the corner, it used to be a Provence bakery, and
Okay.
it had been shut down for about 2 years. Provence had left, and it was vacant for 2 years. They
Hmm.
converted part of it to a congressman's office, Congressman Cooper, but it was a beautiful location, part of the Nashville Public Library. So you had a beautiful outdoor patio. You have a nice interior, spacious suite, and then you had a door that connected to the library, and then so you get access to the free public parking downtown through the library. And then when I saw it and looked at the cost, I was like, oh, this is, knock on wood, it's bigger than what I was looking for, cheaper in cost. This is it. This is where we
Wow.
need to do it. And it's been sort of rolling forward. Again, that was thinking through pre-COVID, all the businesses downtown and everything else. Um, and so you fast forward through our building. I still think we got the right location because it's got a beautiful patio with lights and music being pumped out. The location, what people don't realize is, you know, Nashville. If any restaurant, right, you got to park a ways away in a public spot, say 24 to plus dollars or $40, depending on the parking. We're in a location where we have curbside pickup, so you can actually call in an order, pull up curbside through our app or anything else, and park, come inside and get it. No issues. Or if you park in the library during the library hours, it's free parking for up to 90 minutes. And you just
Wow.
park on the third floor, walk into the library, validate your ticket through them, and then walk into the restaurant, get your food, sit down, eat. Then 90 minutes later, go back out and leave full, happy, and keeping your $9-10 in parking and stuff like that. So
I mean, honestly, that's huge. That's part of the reason that I don't go downtown as much, is because just like you said, because I've gone down there at times and paid $40 or more for parking,
yep.
and I'm just like, it's ridiculous. And when you were telling me that when we were talking, I was like, I can get free parking at the library. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I'm in. I am so in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things. One of the things we've been trying to get the message out. And I used to not do any social media. As a technology guy, LinkedIn was all I did. Open up this restaurant, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Google, Yelp, you name it. Across the board, and trying to get the word out as much as you can. Because I think people have a connotation. If you think downtown, where am I going to park? I don't want to park there.
Yeah.
Or and all this stuff. So we really, when we picked the place, we thought it's because it gives a nice amenity for downtown, but it's easy to get to. There's free parking, or even
Hmm.
if you did park in the library and you had to pay, it's only for every 30 minutes, it's $3. So,
Wow. Yeah.
you can't beat that, even if you did
Sure.
have to pay for after library hours. So,
Yeah. That's wow. So all right. So when um when you guys start putting everything in place, then being the fact that it is plant based and it's all vegan, um, is it hard to get people to give you a shot?
it is, unless you already have a lot of community who are vegan and vegetarian. But I will tell you, about 80% of the customers who come into our restaurant aren't vegan at all, nor do they realize when they first walk in sometimes that we are that. Right? They're just looking for
Really? Okay.
they see us as especially in our advertising, we do heavily that where we do somewhere we say vegan, but it's heavily plant based or organic or gluten free options, or and really just try and sell the healthy aspect. Because
Sure.
if you can't get people over the fact that it tastes good and it's delicious, they're not going to care if it's vegan, vegetarian, or whatever, right? If it doesn't taste good, you're not going to get them in to try it. So
Exactly.
yeah, there's a little bit of stigma first, but that's where I tell you that the moments I love is like when you bring people in and then you give them a sample of one of your proteins that go with the bowls or whatever, and you see their eyes light up. That's when you're making a difference and changing somebody's perspective and outlook, which in today's culture is such a hard thing to do, right? Because
Sure.
everybody is so risk adverse in a lot of ways, and life included. But I think the funniest story I always say is there's a company where a whole team of it, I'll leave the company name out because I don't want to highlight them, but they came in. It was a group coming in for lunch, and they were all walked in, and they were about to walk out because it's, oh, this is a plant-based restaurant. There's nothing here I'm going to be I would like. So as soon as they walked in, we gave them one of our proteins, our General Tao, which is our most popular bowl. And as soon as they tried it, they were like, "Are you kidding me? This is plant-based?" And absolutely. And then we let all of them try and sample it, and then they all loved it. And I could tell you right now that that guy comes back almost about 3 days out of the week because he works
Really?
downtown Monday through Friday. And I've gotten to know him real well, and and he's one of our biggest ambassadors. He brings people in left and right,
That's
and
awesome.
to try it. But before us, he never even tried. He wouldn't even say vegan. so, but that's the power, right? If you can get people to give you a try and let their taste buds change their state of mind and perception, it's a powerful thing.
What's your favorite on the menu?
By far, I got two. I would say our copper bowl with or general copper bowl with General Tao is by far my favorite. And then we also have. I'm a big breakfast guy, so
Okay.
for me, we have the um, uh, uh, on a pumpernickel bagel. We have field roast sausage and just egg with a
Mhm.
little bit of a nice little sauce and dressing that goes on it. And for me, it's like I'm in heaven. If I'm having a nice cup of hot coffee, because we sell Bongo Java, and I have my field roast and just egg sandwich, I feel like I'm back in my military days, stopping by, grabbing something to eat, and then going out, sneaking it out to the field with me. So that's those are two good things for me. So
That's awesome. Now,
yeah.
now you guys, like you mentioned, you guys are open all day up and through 8, 9 o'clock at night. So you have breakfast. Do you do breakfast all day and through the evening, or is it just certain hours? Or
So we're actually we have an all day breakfast menu, so you
okay,
can order at any time, and then we're just about to right now. What we're doing is selling breakfast until 10:30 or all day, but lunch wouldn't start till 10:30.
okay,
But we're actually in the process of just making it because we get a lot of people asking for our bowls as early as 8 o'clock. Because being
wow,
downtown, you got a lot of people roading off shifts. They worked a long night. They want something not necessarily always breakfast.
sure,
So just to be in alignment with some of our customer demands, starting next week, we're actually just going to everything on our menu be available all day. But we're
wow,
open Monday through Saturday, 8 to 9,
okay,
and Sunday 9 to 9. So
wow.
yeah.
That's I can't wait to come and try it. I can't wait.
Oh,
We're
yeah, I'm
coming next week.
excited to have you guys out. So,
Now, are you there a lot, or are you in at your other job, or
Yeah, so I work during the day. So from about 6:30 to about 4:35, working my regular job, and then in the evenings, not every evening, about 2 or 3 days a week in the evening, I'll run down to the restaurant, check on with the team and staff, see how everything's doing, and then every Saturday, I'm usually there in the morning, midday, and I try and check out our music. Or if we have like music and comedy nights, I'll try and swing by there. Me and my wife will use that as excuse for a date night.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
Now, how about that? You guys do, like you said, music and comedy, and I know you also do some poetry nights as well. Um, is that every night, or select nights of the week, or
Yeah. So we basically do music nights Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So almost every day.
okay,
And starting about 5 o'clock till 9. So, and we have different hosts, and some of our hosts are amazing in terms of the talent they bring in. Because unlike some of the other play areas that have music, a lot of it is cover tunes, etc.
hmm
I think one of the things that was important for me when we opened this up was to find some hosts that brought in, amateur artists or even regular artists who just wanted a place to play their own music and use it as a sounding board. And we found a lot of great success and really great relationships and talent that have come through the doors where they just sit down and get about every artist gets about a 30-minute slot, and they can play at any of our hosted nights. And we actually we've only had a few people taking advantage of it, so hopefully more people will be daring enough to do it. We have the equipment set up all day, so
wow,
if they want to come in the morning and play during lunch, want to play before our hosted programs start in the evening about 5 o'clock, people are willing. I have a guitar, in the restaurant, so anybody can use it if they want. So that's fun. And then we do poetry night twice a month at the restaurant, the second and fourth Thursdays of the month, and that's been fun. It's drawn out a lot of great crowd, and it's always impressive to me to see. And it's really the vision that I have for the place is, we are in the heart of downtown. While there
sure,
are tourists that come by, we have a lot of condos around us. So the goal is to make it
okay,
a fun place in downtown Nashville for locals and everybody else to come have a nice dinner, have a cold beer, and enjoy some great music and with your friends and family. And that vision is slowly starting to come, to fruition, especially with as we've been adding our music nights and everything else. And it's been great to see.
that's awesome. Now we have a question here. Do you have an open mic night?
We do, we do. So on our sign up for our music nights, the links. So if you go to our Instagram,
Okay,
Copper Branch Nashville, you'll see links on there for our Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday will be added on, and you can actually contact them, and they'll get you on the schedule. They usually have about a 30-minute block where they'll add others to be able to sign
oh,
in.
cool,
Um,
cool,
but what we are going to be doing here soon, because we want to make sure it's fun but not chaos, we're going to sign up a general sign up form. So if anybody wants to come in, like I was saying, in the mornings when we open up till 5, if they want to come in during lunch, breakfast, we've even had a few people want to come out, and if they were an artist and just want to do something with their family and have their, just have an hour block to play and have their friends and family there, we've opened it up to them as well. And we've actually had we partner with Vanderbilt too, the students at
okay,
Vanderbilt. It's called the Music Room, and the first and third Friday of the month, they come out and they do a set with just all college and university students on Friday evening, um,
nice.
which has been fun. It's always fun seeing the different talents of all ages. Or if you see young artists and they bring their family and all their relatives and they're watching them,
Mhm.
or you have some established musicians that just want something a little bit more intimate, they'll bring several of their fans and stuff over. It's always good to see in different walks of life, different backgrounds. I think we've even have instrumentalists. We've had somebody come out and play a violin piece for about 30 minutes, and I think everybody in there was just mesmerized by his music and how good he was. So it's just interesting to see who shows up and what they do. So
It sounds like it's just a whole fun vibe going on there.
that's the goal. I think we're one of the things we're about to do is open something we call the Copper Market. So inside
Okay,
the restaurant, So big for me is when we opened up our restaurant, I wanted to partner with a lot of local vendors. Um, so not only on the music, we have some great hosts that perform, but a lot of our vendors are, especially for like drinks or desserts and stuff like that, are local. And as we succeed, I want them to succeed as well. And
Sure.
that's one of the best relationships you can have. You know, and I think that's been fun. But then we also try to, with this copper market, we've got a few small businesses. We're going to start setting up some like retail space in our restaurant where they can
Wow.
have some stuff there where people can come in, and as long as it aligns with our broader, mission statement of healthy organic eating and stuff like that,
Hmm.
welcome them, whether it's candles, whether it's different types of like cocktail mixes and stuff like that. We'll have those at the restaurant. We're gonna have some shirts and stuff like that too, but
Cool.
trying to make it a fun place. But you know, um, the goal and if a measure of success for me is if people want to start having their meetings there, start coming there to socialize, and we have
Right.
games for the kids. That means we're successful. And we like, for example, we work with different like meetups or network groups, and they started to start hosting their meetings at our restaurant. We have the
Wow.
Nashville Women's Network coming up here in about 2 weeks to have a luncheon at our restaurant. We had a few other small working group sessions that come over. We have a few local churches who will do their small youth group meetings in our restaurant in the evenings. We have different groups and work groups in downtown Nashville who will come to our patio because it's outdoors. We can turn the music down for them, and they have working group sessions of about 20 people on our patio. So it does no good to have the space in you if you're not filling it with people wanting to have a good time and be there for a reason. So we're trying to
Right.
be accommodating to the community needs while running the business at the same time and making it a fun place.
Now, I wanted to also touch on your military background. Which division were you in?
So I was Army. I got out as an Army captain back in 2005.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, first
So
off, thank you for your service.
thank you.
Um,
Appreciate
any person that goes in the military, the way I can just put it very simple. I'm too much of a pansy to go into the military. So thank you for not being a
it.
pansy.
I appreciate it.
How how about the your military background and training? How do you think that's helped you in becoming a business owner with especially the restaurant world?
Yeah, I think the two things is general leadership and also tenacity and creative thinking. I think when I look back, I'm third generation. My grandfather served, my dad served. I grew up as a military brat, living all over the world. I was born in Germany,
Wow.
etc. Um, and I served in Iraq in 2003.
Okay.
But I think one of the things that I've learned, and part of the reason I was like saying around the veteran community, it's a community where art of the possible is always there, right, front and center. No matter what adversity, what challenge you have, the military has done a great job of getting your mindset oriented so you know where the north seeking arrow is. You may not get all the answers right every single time, but
Hmm.
you're not going to give up until you keep moving forward and trying to figure out ways to achieve your mission or goals or objectives. And I think that's the biggest, driver and trait that I've seen that being in the military helps set you up for, whether it's a startup, a restaurant, or corporate America. It's the uh, ability to persevere and keep moving forward.
Wow, true. It's very true. Now, how about the veteran nonprofit that you run? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first got to Nashville, I used to, as part of corporate America, and I'm back in it now, but I used to lead a lot of the veteran groups. So at Cigna, I was very fortunate to be part of the leadership team at GE's veteran group in
Okay.
Louisville, Kentucky, and get involved in a lot of those things. And one of the things when I came to Nashville, I got introduced to like a group called Operation Stand Now, which in Nashville and Tennessee is the largest veteran service organization, and I was on the board for them for several years and met some great people. And then I served as a Cigna's veteran, one of Cigna's veterans leads for their ERG, which is an employee readiness group
Okay.
um, or resource group. But one of the things I saw was a lot of companies were struggling to figure out how to stand up these veteran groups.
Hmm.
They were always trying to reinvent the wheel, or not wanting to do it on their own versus collaborating and communicating with others. And
Okay.
being in that veteran network here in Nashville, a lot of great people who had the similar observations of these pain points. And literally, a good friend of mine, Dan Collins, he's also an entrepreneur with his Whiskey Soldier brands. It was
Okay.
a music label uh, here in town. And John Bopp, who works for Assurian, we early on started sitting down talking about how do we solve this problem? And that's what created the genesis for the Veterans Corporate Council. And the mission for the Veterans Corporate Council is all these companies, whether big or small, how do we get them to get all together and network so they can actually build a genuine relationships with each other and then help each other establish best practices. So you're not feeling left alone or isolated and having to define stuff on your own. So
Hmm.
think about a playbook of if you're going to create an employee network at the corporate office, well, how do you do that? How do you hire more veterans, veteran spouses? How do you bring on more veteran suppliers so you can help veterans in the community? How do you reach out to not just veterans, but also regular people in your community to make a difference on the positive? Doing that while at the same time advancing the mission of your company. And it's a win-win. If you can help your company with public relations, driving sales, at the same time advancing causes that help benefit veterans and their families, why not? So
Sure.
that's one of the drivers that we're trying to do with that. And I'm very fortunate we have a lot of great people who are on the board with me, who are, again, doing all this stuff pro bono as an additional duty outside of their work, their family lives, etc. Because we all have that willingness to serve and try and give back. So I always feel honored to be in a group of others who are as dedicated, in some cases more dedicated than me, with what they're doing. And it's just, I always stand in awe of the people I surround myself with. So
That's amazing. Well, Charles, you seem to be how can I say just A1. Seriously, uh, top notch. Not even just I'm not going to say a business owner, just a top notch human being. Um, from just talking to you for the past 45 minutes and learning all you do and looking into your world and um, you're willing to take on more and more. I can tell, and I have a feeling, as you've said, with especially with the Copper Branch, this is just the beginning because there's going to be more that you're putting on your plate. So your bowls will be bigger.
yeah, absolutely. No, I
So,
really appreciate it.
no, thank you. Where's the best place to go? Is it Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah,
And before we even do that, how about you touched on it a little bit. How about that world? Because you said you're not like really a social media person,
yeah.
but now that's a completely different thing because you have to be.
Oh, absolutely. Think, every day I am glad Google and YouTube are there, right? Although I will admit my getting educated or schooled, as my 7-year-old likes to say, on how to use Instagram. The first few times of trying to use Instagram was not pretty by any means. What's this button do? Oops, why am I sending a picture of my feet out there? Everything else. But, through a lot of patience and some coaching from my son and friends, and videos online, you have to do it. And a lot of it is getting the message out there because, I would like to say, one of the things I have such an appreciation and admiration for is I've been in the restaurant business for about 18 months. For those who have been there a hell of a lot longer than me, and have done it, they're really doing a lot of hard work. And, what I've learned is, the restaurant industry is truly customer service and making people have great experiences. We don't always get it right. But what makes people and organizations better is if they recognize that, then keep trying to get better, right? You're not always going to hit aces every single time, right? But if you do it long enough and consistently enough, you know, um, you'll get there. So I do
Exactly.
want to say for those who have tried us, I appreciate all their support and coming down. And for those who haven't tried us yet, come down, don't let that it's healthy, scare you. Just focus on what you really want, right? So,
uh, I'm not scared.
oh
I'll tell
well,
you, I'm
I'm
not
looking forward to
scared.
having you guys down. Uh, Cold beer, nice music, and great food. So,
That's so. So you guys serve beer,
yep. So we
and do you?
partner with
Okay,
Southern Grist on
okay,
West Nashville. Great company, great group. So we carry a Pilsner, an IPA, and a Mosa. So like a sour ale. So yeah.
nice, nice, very
Again,
cool.
as a prior Army guy, I have to have some type of alcohol there. That's
You're a man after my own heart. All right, so where's the best place for everybody to seek you guys out? Is it Facebook, Instagram, both, or?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram. It's Copper Branch Nashville. So trying to keep it simple for everybody. But yeah, if you follow us there, and we're at the 601 Church Street, so corner of 6th and Church. We have a beautiful park across the street called the Church Street Park.
Okay,
And I will tell you, for one of the, just a little plug for the library too. They actually have, outside of free parking, which I'm a fan of, for any families, they do great like puppet shows for kids. They have story time, book reading, and they also have a huge audiovisual and 3D printing lab for teenagers, all free of charge for Davidson County residents up
nice.
there. So, but yeah, so if they 601 Church Street and follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you'll get the latest details, our specials, and events that we do
Awesome.
every week and month. Yep.
That's going to be great though for both of you guys, for the restaurant and the library to have, you know, you can have customers intertwined in between both. You can be bringing customers to them and vice versa. So that's a great match.
Oh, absolutely. And I tell you, one of the things I've enjoyed is, one of my things that I want to do on my bucket list is finish a book. And I think the book that I started, I laid out the title construct. I even had some illustrations for it in terms of what I want it to be, but I've never got it, executed and completed yet. But there's a gentleman who, HM Ortiz, who comes to our restaurant all the time. He's a published author all the time. He shares his works, and people like that who motivates you to try and get that bucket list empty, right? So you
Sure.
have no regrets in life. That it's always great to see. So, but yeah, the library is great. And grabbing a nice cup of hot coffee, or a latte, and then going up grabbing a book. Uh, it's always fun to do. So,
I can't wait to come there.
well, I'm looking forward to it. So, you'll have a good time.
Absolutely. Charles, thanks for doing this. Thanks for the connection. And yeah, we're going to talk more. I see a lot more talking of me and you in the future.
Okay, awesome.
I hope that you're there so we can share a cold beer together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you mind if I just say one more thing too?
Absolutely.
I was just going to say, for those that are downtown, we also do a lot of catering. So if anybody's
Awesome.
looking for a healthier option and alternative, just message us or follow us on Instagram and message us through there. Happy to share what we have. So, but thank you,
Awesome.
Bay, for the time and opportunity. It's been fun. I loved it.
It great. Anything else that I did I miss anything? Just
Yeah, good.
good, good. Awesome. Charles, thanks so much. Everybody go. Copper Branch, 601 Church Street, inside the library building. Free parking during library hours. You can't beat that downtown. And on top of it, you get great food. Go. Good night, everybody.